Hey folks, Billy Anderson here, founder of The Courage Crusade. Today we're talking about something really big. It's probably my favorite topic. It's called the secret to happiness. When I talk about happiness, I'm talking about sort of two main components. One is fulfillment and performance. That's what makes up happiness in my books. And the great thing about this is it's going to apply to every single area of your life. Personal, professional, everything. And in order for you to get the most out of this talk, I'd like you to think now about a relationship in your life that could be going better. This can be any relationship, and keep in mind, please, throughout this, that your job, your career, is a relationship as well. So we're going back to the very beginning kind of everything, which is Mother Nature. And Mother Nature's only got one job for us. Mother Nature wants us to survive long enough to get horny and procreate. Now, unlike some animals, human beings need other people around in order to survive. We don't just pop out of the womb and jump up and make dinner and go find a job. We need people to help us, people to raise us. And then for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we also needed people, we also needed a tribe to help us hunt and be safe and be protected. Because of that, we're born with a need that absolutely permeates everything else about us, which is our need to belong. Anything that threatens our ability to belong to other groups of people, any other relationships, sets off every warning bell in our body and in our brain. The four worst words we can ever hear in our life are, "We need to talk." It means that there's something wrong in a relationship and maybe we don't belong anymore. And that's why those four words are so terrible to hear. So if we need to belong, it begs the question, well, how do you belong? You belong to a relationship, whether it's an individual, a business, a group, when you bring more good stuff than you bring bad stuff. You add value. Any group of friends or business, job, anything, they want you around when you bring something to the table. So if our number one need is to belong, we can then focus on how do we add as much value as possible to every relationship we're in. That will ensure that we belong, and that will make us feel amazing. Make us feel super happy, we'll perform at our best, and we can be fulfilled. So in terms of you adding value to relationships, there are two potential reasons why a relationship isn't as good as it could be. Number one, you are adding lots of value, but it's not being recognized or appreciated. Number two, you're not adding as much value as you possibly can. You're not adding your maximum potential. And there's a few reasons why you might not be adding your maximum potential. One is you're not allowed to. Another one is that you're not putting your best foot forward. You don't have the courage to sort of get out of your comfort zone to allow you to add your maximum value. And the last one is that the fit just isn't there in the relationship. We see this with romance, we see it in jobs. If the fit isn't there, you will not be motivated to put your best foot forward and your most effort, and therefore add your maximum value. So now we understand why we have this major drive to add value, because it'll help us belong. So now that we know that, will it be easy to do it and to make that happen? Unfortunately not. So there's two main barriers to you and me adding as much value as we possibly can. The first barrier is self-doubt. At some point in our life, all of us feel like we're not good enough. We have to face this question of, do I actually add any value? And how this self-doubt shows up is it shows up as a voice in your head, the inner critic. Anytime you step out of your comfort zone, it'll say stuff like, why are you doing this? You're not smart enough. They're gonna see through you. They're gonna think you're a fake. And I would say that if you never feel that way, if you never question, am I actually good enough? Can I handle this? You're actually coasting through life and you're not stepping out of your comfort zone, and you won't be able to add your maximum value. The second barrier to adding as much value as you can is change. And the fear, the programmed fear we have, thanks to evolution, of change. Basically, if you're not starving and if your life isn't in danger, then your entire genetic makeup is telling you don't change a thing. Because for thousands and thousands of years, that's all that matters. And the reason that change is so scary is that when you change something, when you leave a relationship, again, that can be your job, and before you find the next one, you temporarily don't belong. And then again, all those warning bells go off. And then while you're looking for that new relationship to belong to, you will have to reprove your value. That's why interviews are so stressful. That's why first dates are stressful. You're trying to prove that you bring something to the table, that you add value. So because of these fears, that's why the hardest relationships to change are the ones that aren't that bad. The really, really bad ones, we're probably going to be motivated to change it. But if it's not that bad, basically what evolution tells us is, well, at least you belong to something. And belonging to something average is better than not belonging at all. But I want you to have relationships that make you jump out of bed and dance to the radio. This is why courage is the #1 tool you need to ensure that you're being as happy as you can be. And remember, happiness, fulfillment, and performance. You need courage to potentially face that fear of, do I add any value? And what is the most value that I can add? And how many times might I have to change in order to figure out those perfect relationships where I belong the most and can add the most value? And if you don't have any courage, and if you let fear take over, you will stay in relationships that aren't that great. They don't allow you to be yourself and add the most value. And that's why courage is #1. So that's all I wanted to say about the secret for happiness. I gave you a really condensed version of this. There's a lot more detail we can go into, and I do that in keynote talks all the time. If you want to learn more about that, please send us an email, sayhi@couragecrusade.com, and I can tell you more about it. Have a courageous day.